So there's basically three parts of this swap that I was kind of like concerned about. You know, I wasn't sure whether I was going to be able to do it, how hard it was going to be, if it was going to go well, if it was going to be a complete nightmare. And the biggest one of those was getting the motor in the car, you know, cutting all that stuff out, making the room, making it fit. You know, was the CD09 going to fit? Was I going to have to cut and modify my belt or my trans tunnel? You know, all of these things. So getting that in, that went super well. I was really stoked on it. The second thing is this. Real quick, the third thing is wiring, but that should also be pretty easy. I'm going to force John to help me. He's like a genius with wiring. So, but this was one of those things that I was worried about, because all I had in my head was that I have to cut up my rear subframe and modify it to make this diff fit. But once I saw some pictures Martin sent me, realized which pieces it was, I'm like, oh, this is cake. This should be, I don't want to say cake because then it's going to be hard, but should be simple. This is the front. This is going to weld on to the front. These are basically two bungs threaded for the bolts for the front of the diff to go through, just like that. Let's stay there. Okay, anyway, and this is the rear. Basically, it's going to go like that, and also weld to the subframe. So basically, I just have to weld two pieces that are already made to the subframe, which is super simple. I'm not sure if I need to cut these pieces out or not. They look structural, like, but I mean, they're there to hold the old diff. The diff has like this torque arm is what it's called. I'm not quite sure on that. I'm probably gonna at least at a minimum cut the studs off, and probably just leave them there. So yeah, we need to start prepping the subframe, getting it cleaned up and ready for welding, measure, weld, test fit, paint. So it should be, should be a fun project. You know, I really like welding. I'm excited to weld some more stuff that matters. So anyway, we're gonna get to it. Oh, before we do, one more thing. Okay. From Milwaukee, Game Changer uses the M12 battery, which is like their smaller battery. Digital air pump for your tires. So I don't have an air compressor because ours broke, and like I never use an air compressor for anything. I don't have any air tools anymore. I have all electric stuff, and I just hate dealing with like the noise of a compressor and stuff. But I've been meaning to get one just to air up my tires, and like luckily Milwaukee came out with this. It's sick. It's like the nice gas station ones where you set the pressure on here and it checks and then airs it up or down to whatever pressure you specify. So this is sick. This is going to be a game changer for here, and especially for drift events, because we're always changing tire pressure. So a lot of times I'll air them down when they're hot, and then they'll be way too low when they're cold, and I'll need to air them up a little bit. You know, but I can, or I have to go to the tech shed and see if I can find the air chuck, and it's just kind of a big process. So being able to just air them up at my pit will be sick. So huge thank you to Milwaukee. I think it's so sick that they came out with this. So I just want to show it to you guys. So anyway, yeah, we're gonna get started. I already said that. Let's do it. So we're gonna start by removing some of the stuff we don't need on here. So I like have to take this out. Yeah, I was like, for a second there, I thought this was gonna be completely stuck, but we are good. All right, I'm gonna take this off, other stuff off, and I will report back when I've done the boring stuff that nobody cares about. Okay, easy enough. All right, so this is the front of the subframe. We need to measure 4 inches over from this hole, and that's where we're gonna place this piece. All right. So yeah, that's gonna go pretty much like that. So what we need to do first is clean all this area up so that we can weld to it. You don't want to weld over paint, obviously. And then we can tack this guy in. we're ready to tack it in. So we're going to measure 4 inches over from this hole, 4 inches on the other side. Now we'll measure the piece itself, which we got 19 5/8. See if that distance is the same here. We're a little over. So we're gonna find center here. We got 28 exactly, so 14 inches will be our center point. So this is center right here. So we'll mark center on the piece itself. Alright, that's money. We're going to tack it in, and then we'll move to the rear, I guess. I think that's going to be it. So now we tacked it, we'll recheck measurements and then put a couple more tacks on it so we can actually test fit the diff. So we got 4 and a 16th here from the edge of the hole. So we got the exact same on the other side. So we're going to put a few more tacks on it. There, we'll switch to the back. Alright, similar process back here. We're going to find center of the sway bar end links, or the sway bar mounting points first, so it's 28. So that should also be 14. We're going to mark that. Oh god, it's falling. Then we're going to measure center of these two holes here. So it's 15, so it would be 7.5. Yeah, so that's right. My first mark was wrong because I was still on the edge of the stud. So in the center of the stud ends up in the same spot, right on the spot weld actually. So now we'll measure center of this. Oh, which is already marked. Just double check that that's right. So 10, 5, tight. Wow, that makes that easy. So we'll put this up here. So this will give us an idea of where we need to clean the metal so we don't go too crazy. Fit well. We'll try to bolt it in. I gotta find some bolts and then see, just kind of like make sure, do some measurements, make sure it's center and not crooked or anything. So everything looks good. The front is lined up perfect. I checked measurements from here to here. It's just under 1 3/4 on each side. That's without even tightening the bolts down and centering it perfectly. The rear lines up perfect with the holes, which are slotted, you know, just in case it doesn't line up right. Gotta say, it looks pretty snazzy in there. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull the diff out, and then we can weld out the bracing. Alright, I'm pretty happy with how the welds came out. I need to flip this thing over for you guys. Definitely not my best work, but not terrible either. But that's what it looks like as a modified subframe. Super easy, way easier than expected. So now we need to paint it. We're gonna at least primer over this stuff. I think I want to paint it wrinkle red. I just don't know if I have enough wrinkle red. I don't really want to prep the whole subframe. See if I have some black. Be boring about it. First we need to at least primer it though. After it cools down. It's hot. Oh, I forgot to mention, Ben gave me this subframe so that I wouldn't have to pull my whole car apart, take my subframe out to do this, then put it back together and put it back in. I can just swap this in. You know, we'll have to swap over arms and hubs and stuff, but easy in comparison to having the car down. I'm such a terrible spray painter. Alright, well, I guess that's going to be it for today. We need to do the axle conversion and stuff, so I'm not going to put the diff in the subframe right now because I also need to get hardware for here. So what I'd like to do is get the axles kind of ready and have everything ready. Then we'll pull the diff and subframe and everything out of the Miata once we have it here, and then swap everything over. So that'll be its own thing, but for now, too easy. Almost. That was way simpler than I thought. I know that's been a theme, and I'm really hoping it can keep going, because like, if that theme transfers over to wiring too, and it's like too easy, I'm gonna be so stoked, and we're gonna get this thing done faster than I would think. So, yeah, thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.